streaming on Twitch, and despite all these issues, he's more successful today than he's ever been. He's been steadily growing on Twitch for over a year, his TikTok has 200,000 followers, and he even collabed with Deji, or as I know him, Comedy Shorts Gamer, in a Tekken video in June of this year, further solidifying his foothold in mainstream gaming. However, many of his original followers have...
Oh, that's also gonna tell my age too, but I mean, I don't care. But
You don't have to tell your age.
I wasn't a teenager, I can tell you that.
Okay.
I was not a teenager.
But with all of that said, with all of the controversies, with all of the insane clips, where does that leave us? As of today, Low Tier God is still streaming on Twitch, and despite he also managed to convince her that he was born in 1990, leading her to defend him on stream and claim that she personally saw evidence he wasn't in his 30s.
I know his actual age.
Love yourself. Yes, you should love yourself now. Yes, you should. Because I do.
Ultimately, it's hard to blame him since he's been banned so many times. I will say, though, because of the change in spirit, a lot of people have been missing the old, lightning-eyed low-tier god that would verbally dismantle the soul of people in his chat, the entire story of low-tier god. And until next time, leave me alone. Shoe Nice became things, from grass to pebbles to eating cake ingredients during his home economics class. This became such a phenomenon that the teachers knew that Chris's group projects never got finished because they ran out of supplies before they could do their work. And eventually, his mother's drinking habit got so bad that she was regularly blacking out and not being able to feed Chris and his brothers. At which point their father took them in.
Well, my father eventually came and got us, and times went on.
This might have been a little late since Chris had already developed a drinking habit of his own, as he was regularly getting blackout drunk as early as 8th grade. He also engaged in other unsavory activities that are not related to drinking.
Times went on.
This might have been a little late since Chris had already developed a drinking habit of his own, as he was regularly getting blackout drunk as early as 8th grade. He also engaged in other unsavory activities that are not related to drinking.
You would charge the neighborhood kids to watch your dad bang your stepmom.
Stepmother, she was Russian. Good people.
Shoe Nice became famous for eating things you're not supposed to. But while others turned their viral videos into careers as content creators, he ended up divorced.
Either way, can you have your mom start the
Positive outlook on this part of his life, proudly remarking that he was voted the class clown in 2 different high schools. He even mentioned his class clown status on his LinkedIn, listing wrestling and women as his high school pastimes. Despite his fond memories, his late teens saw his alcoholism progress into general drug abuse. Chris took every opportunity he had to use any substance,
Bang your stepmom.
Stepmother, she was Russian. Good people.
Good people. How much money did you make in that racket?
I don't know. I was in 8th grade.
Right. And did you ever beat off watching that?
Never.
No. Okay.
It's one thing selling tickets to the neighbor's kids, but damn, it's your dad.
an account for him on YouTube. Chris stayed inactive for 2 years until December 2010, when he decided to act on his love for comedy by dropping this gem of a video.
Our family tree is shaped like a marijuana leaf. My dad wanted us to learn how to read when we were little. He got us hooked on products.
If this seems more like an amateur stand-up routine instead of the cancellation of Fountain Day, a traditional celebration of the university Chris was enrolled in at the time to study sociology. There are plenty of videos of this incident due to how unusual it was, especially since it looked like Chris was the only person protesting, while the rest of the people there were just looking at him in awe. In one of the interviews he did during this time, without any prompt from the interviewer, he started talking at him in awe. In one of the interviews he did during this time, without any prompt from the interviewer, he started talking about how he wasn't doing this to promote himself, since he had already published a book and was about to go on a comedy tour, neither of which I was able to find anything about. However, as soon as the topic of his YouTube channel came up, he immediately started giving the little audience that had gathered around him a performative autobiography, although I can't show a lot of the most popular ones because they'd violate the current terms of service because they technically depict dangerous acts. To put it simply, Chris ate things he wasn't supposed to eat, some of which could kill an average person. As his videos got traction from legacy media outlets like True TV's World's Dumbest and Vice Media, thousands of people were now getting to watch this man rubbing alcohol, eat tampons, and many other inedible items that would make pretty much anyone gag. He also took part in an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, where we get early signs that maybe becoming famous wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. For example, he got called out on his Fountain Day stunt and not only admitted that it was just a stunt for publicity, but also added that the reason he did it was because of his recent bout of intense alcoholism and his strained relationship with his family, where Shunai says that his ex-wife was having a tough time handling his newfound YouTube fame and that he was slowly but surely pushed out of the house. Once he realized he was now homeless and no longer able to see his son, he started drinking again after 6 years of sobriety. Soon after the documentary came out, it was also announced that
Think about walking down the street looking for a bum at 4 in the morning and going like this.
overall, the documentary paints a pretty grim picture of a man who no longer had any reason to take care of his health and well-being. As a result, he regularly risked his life for content because he had nothing better to do. For those who were only looking at the surface of Shunai's documentary came out, it was also announced that he had been arrested. This supposedly happened because an old lady mistakenly identified him as the person who stole something from her car. It's very hard to make out what he says here due to the low volume and poor audio quality. But considering he uses this story to ask his fans for more money, it's possible that this didn't happen. However, a few weeks after this announcement, that maybe becoming famous wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. For example, he got called out on his Fountain Day stunt and not only admitted that it was just a stunt for publicity, but also added that the reason he did it was because he wanted to quit university anyway. In a much more concerning development, after a few comments asked about it, Chris confirms that he's no longer with his wife and she had kicked him out of the house. But under the belief he would be paid back soon, this guy sent him the money, and within 3 days, Chris asked for another $500. But he was never paid back, probably because Chris never intended to. Chris didn't even try to keep his story straight, as he would often outright admit to his lenders that he used the money to buy more drugs. In the Vice documentary, he claimed to regularly get $400 or even more